Good evening, everyone. If you please take a seat, we're going to get started. My name is Nancy MacArthur. I'm the chairman of the Geauga County Republican Party, and I want to welcome you all to our first candidates forum. We have kind of an unusual election cycle right now. We're going into the primary election where we elect our Republican candidates who will then go on to nomination for the November ballot. And we have quite a few candidates in the room here. So if you would like to take a look at our guide, we do have them here for you. We're going to follow that guide as a format. And some of you were here a little bit earlier. We do have some people circulating around with no cards. And if you want to ask a specific candidate a question, we ask that you address it to them and get it down to us, and we'll make sure that the question gets asked. I do have a couple of videos for people that were not able to be here tonight. I had been in communication with all of the candidates prior to setting this date to make sure that we could get a date that worked for most of them. And there were some candidates who were not able to come. And so we were able to obtain videos for them, and I will be showing a couple of those tonight. So unfortunately, they're not here for questions, but you will get to hear from them. Again, thank you very much for coming. We might have a few people coming in late, so we're not going to stop. I do want to introduce our moderator, Jim McClintock. Jim is going to be running this forum, basically introducing the candidates. I would ask that the candidates come up here, and if there are more than one, they can sit here. Otherwise, they're going to be speaking at the lectern here, and stay up here for some questions as well. If you find that you have a question you want to ask that comes up during the candidate's speech, just get it written down, and we'll try to get it as quickly as we can down here so that we can get your question answered. All right? So without further ado, we're going to start the program. Thank you. Take it away, Jim.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. We are starting with the Pledge of Allegiance, right?
We are
And the flag is right there.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got to learn how to work this. And thanks for coming out tonight. As Nancy said, we're going to be following the guide. Some people are here, some people are not. Just remember, if you get pulled off the stage, to be mad at Jody. She's the timekeeper, not me. I'm just doing her dirty work. And we're going to get this program started. If you, as you heard, write down questions, get them up here, and we'll get them read. We want them read through the microphone so they're recorded. And we're starting off the program. Nancy, did you say President Donald J. Trump is or is not here? He's not. Florida, okay, sorry. First one is not here. President Donald J. Trump is not here today. But for Ohio Supreme Court Justice, we have Sharon Kennedy, who is not here with us today, but we can hear some words from her through the magic of technology via video.
Good evening. I'm Sharon Kennedy, the 154th Justice of the Supreme Court of Ohio. Thank you for allowing me to appear by video for Meet the Candidate Night. I'd like to be there in person, but I'm across Ohio honoring another commitment. It's vitally important as voters that you consider seriously who it is you are voting for judges. In our republic, we believe in our tripartite system that there are three separate but co-equal branches of government. And those who wish to serve as members of the judiciary, they have a limited role. Alexander Hamilton wrote in Federalist Paper 78 that judges only have reason and judgment. Force and will are that of the other branches. We do not rewrite the laws or legislate from the bench. Fundamentally, for our constitutional supremacy form of government, it's vitally important that those you elect believe in that. Think about what we do at the Ohio Supreme Court and how it impacts your daily life. We decide whether the laws that you have sought to create through the General Assembly are constitutional. We decide the language of the statute and what the intent of the General Assembly is by the mere words they have written. We decide what the terms of a contract are. We decide whether the utility rate that you pay is lawful and reasonable. Throughout our work, if it can come through a trial court, it can land on my desk here at the Ohio Supreme Court. But I bring more to the bench than just a judicial philosophy. I bring 34 years of service in the justice system, beginning as a police officer in the city of Hamilton. I assure you that once you look at the world through the windshield of a cruiser, you never quite look at it the same. But with eyes wide open, you enter into a service of being a trial counsel for 8 years, then on to a trial court bench for 14 years, trying cases every day, serving the people in Butler County. I didn't make the decision to run for the Ohio Supreme Court lightly. I made the decision because I wanted to be part of the next generation of those who would honor their limited role in government, to uphold the law, not rewrite it or legislate from the bench. Beyond the work of the court, I have a great reach, and it is there that I choose to help those who come into our justice system. I help the invisible become visible as I work with trial courts and probation officers and sheriffs in the Lean Forward initiative to help those service members and veterans who find themselves into our system of justice to make sure they get treatment instead of a jail cell. Beyond that work is yours. On November 3rd, you will work to decide who you will vote for. You will carefully consider all of the candidates. And I am asking you to please consider me, Sharon Kennedy, and vote Kennedy for the Ohio Supreme Court.
Also from the Ohio Supreme Court, we have Judy French. Is Judy with us tonight? Judy's not. Moving right along, County Commissioners. Timothy Lennon. Timothy Lennon is not here either, right? Then how about it for County Commissioner Dennis Michael Galicki?
I do want to say that there are two separate commissioner positions. Tim Lennon is running for one, and the second one we have Dennis Galicki running for, and also we'll be showing a video for Ralph Spitaleri, who is not here. Go ahead.
I guess we have to speak in the microphone. First of all, before I begin my 3 or 4 minutes, I'll take up a couple of seconds of my 3 or 4 minutes by saying I want to thank everybody who showed here tonight. I think one of the foundations of good government is an engaged, informed electorate. And by the fact that you folks are here tonight, you show that you are part of that informed, engaged electorate. So I appreciate you being here. Would that more people would be here. My name is Dennis Galicki. Some of you know me from earlier issues involvement with the Republican Party. I am an Ohio resident, grew up in Northeast Ohio. For a brief bio, in my teens, left Ohio to serve my country, graduated the Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, and I didn't return to Ohio until many, many years later, like 32 years later, and returned to Geauga County, made my home here since that time. I have not only retired from the United States military, but retired as a manufacturing manager. I was largely engaged in the manufacturing facilities management prior to or after my time in the military, and got engaged in my local village political scene in November of 2017, ran for village council, was elected to council, and subsequently I have decided to try and engage and solicit your support for the position of Geauga County Commissioner. Quite frankly, I think that my own opinion is that Geauga County deserves good government. We have a gem here in Geauga County. We deserve good government. We deserve engaged, present public officials, okay? I come to you as a veteran with 32 years of service under my belt, and I think veterans bring unique qualifications to both civic and political engagement process. Veterans have a commitment to serve, they bring integrity, they have a broad cross-section, they have a familiarity with a broad cross-section of the American public through their service. They have strong leadership skills, often forged under adverse conditions. And also they are very acutely aware of the human consequences of bad policy decisions. So I think they bring something that other candidates don't. I'd like to have the opportunity to continue my service both to the country and my community through election to the position of Geauga County Commissioner. And I think we can do better. And my promise is to engage with the community, to be a presence at Board of Commissioner and committee meetings, to be a presence within the greater community of Geauga County, to solicit opinions from citizens and in terms of other elected officials in the townships and the municipalities that make up Geauga County, and to better serve the people. I'm getting my 30-second warning here. So with that, I will relinquish the microphone.
Dennis.
Yes.
If you don't mind just having a seat, I'm going to show the
Okay.
video for special wires.
Are we doing the questions right
Yes.
now? Okay.
We'll be doing them after I show this video.
Good evening, folks. I'm Ralph Spitaleri, Geauga County Commissioner. I appreciate you being here this evening. I apologize that I am not able to make it this evening, but I have had a commitment for over a year in Fort Worth, Texas, that I will be here until the 19th and unable to make it. I would like to thank everybody for coming out here and being a part of this forum and being able to get involved to learn what your candidates are about and to make a sensible decision when you are at the polls making your vote. I'd like to talk about a few things this evening. A couple of the things that I would like to point out is I started as a county commissioner in 2012. When I did come on as commissioner, we had a long-term debt of over $6 million in our county. Today, I am proud to tell you that we have a surplus of over $10 million. That's not something that just becomes easy, and it's not something that one person only can do, but rather taking an entire county and all of the members of our elected officials, all of our employees, our staff, our administrative positions that we maintain, and coming up with a good plan, and everybody working together for the right choice. We have had an enormous amount of support on all sides of this, and we are able to get to the point now that we have dollars to be able to not only have availability for unforeseen emergency situations that can occur at any given time, whether it be, earthquake, terrible storms, something that puts us in a position that our residents need us to fast respond. We have the dollars now in place to do quite a bit more than what we would have ever had when I first took this position. As far as our plans for moving forward, we have been looking at the position of a new administrative center that we would be able to consolidate all of our various offices that we have within our area of 470 and have a centrally located facility that would serve the over 90,000 residents of this county, to be able to have one facility that they can come to be able to handle all of their needs. Something that'll be convenient, but besides convenient, it's going to be cost savings. Right now we handle all of these different buildings that have each their own set of heating, boilers, electrical systems, lighting, and these buildings are extremely outdated, inefficient, and many times have to be completely redone in order to bring them back to code and back to the condition for our employees to be able to operate out of them. But rather, we would now like to take this to the next level to continue to be able to provide the best services that we can for the residents of this county with a good building, nothing over the top, but something that makes smart sense and works for everybody. Prior to my election in 2012, I've had a lifetime of law enforcement, and the last 6 years prior to being elected as commissioner, I was a Geauga County Deputy Sheriff with the Geauga County Sheriff's Office. So I was in no way void and null to the problems that we were having with opiates in this county, the amount of deaths that we were having. And what I did is, immediately after being elected as commissioner, I took it upon myself to get with all of the county officials, prosecutors, judges, the sheriff's office, the sheriff, and all the individuals, because this is not about one person taking on a position like this, but it needs to have consolidation of all parties involved. And through my leadership, through my team building, and everything that I was able to put together, we were able to get to the point that today, all of the counties that surround Geauga, you can see their opiate rates, their deaths, their fatals, all of that is off the charts, increasing every year. Geauga County, we're proud to say that we've taken a position and have reduced every one of those statistics. This couldn't be done just by me, but it was a conglomeration of all department heads, all of law enforcement, prosecutor, judges working together, and that's what's important to keeping our county safe. In 2012, I made many promises that I have kept. One of the promises was that I would not run more than 3 terms as county commissioner. This will be my last term as county commissioner. I feel that politics should not be a career, but rather service. I am hopeful that with the next 4 years, that a good, strong group of viable candidates for the next election will come forward and get involved with the commissioner's office so that we will be able to explain to them, teach them, and demonstrate the different tasks, responsibilities of what's required to be a good public servant and a good county commissioner. With that in close, I would like to just basically tell you that I am absolutely proud of Geauga County, proud of the people that I serve, and I've been humbled so many times with all of our senior population, our veterans, our safety forces, our medical staff that's in this county. We have just such a great place to live, and I can only tell you thank you, and I will tell you that I will work for you for the next 4 years, and I will make you proud, and I appreciate your vote, and thank you for your support for the last 8 years and for the next 4. Thank you.
So since Ralph is not able to be here, Dennis, I'll let you decide if this is a great opportunity or highly unfair to field a couple questions. But a couple things we'd like to hear from you today is, could you please explain what it is that a commissioner does?
Sure. Okay. Now, county commissioners make up the general administrative body for county government. They can perform those duties which are specifically authorized by the General Assembly and no more. They are the county government taxing, budgeting, appropriating, and purchasing authority. Individual commissioners have no power to act independently, believe it or not. All formal and official actions must be taken by the Board of County Commissioners acting as a body, either by a majority or a unanimous vote. However, it's the non-statutory duties of commissioners that make them different, I believe, than any other county elected officials. I view that county commissioners must take a broad view of actions necessary to make the county a better place to live and work. Management style should maybe empower subordinates while holding them accountable. And commissioners must be astute and have good sense. But perhaps the most important attribute I would offer for a county commissioner is the ability to show up for work, to lead, to listen to the needs of the citizens and other elected officials, to compromise, and to develop a consensus on priority issues to improve the county.
Thank you. This one's a loaded question. As commissioner, what do you plan to do differently than your opponent?
All right. This may be a loaded question, but perhaps it's time for a little bit of truth here. Okay. In the military, we have a saying that with authority comes responsibility, and with them both accountability. And I believe we need to hold our elected officials to the highest standards of accountability and challenge them to be the best representatives of the people. Those public servants need to be actively engaged in county government, to show up for work and be present at county government proceedings, and be a presence within the greater Geauga County community. Our citizens deserve better than the record of attendance that they have received from the incumbent in the past 7+ years. I think everybody should be able to stand on their record, and in the incumbent's 2 terms as commissioner, the incumbent has missed a total of 62 Board of Commissioner meetings, 33 in his first term and 29 in his second term. In his 2 terms of commissioners, he has missed 746 votes due to his absences. In his first term, he missed 414 roll call votes, and in his second term, he missed 332 roll call votes. Now, for comparison purposes, in the period beginning 5 January 2017 to December 31, 2019, approved minutes reveal that Commissioner Tim Lennon has missed only 4 meetings compared to the incumbent's 29 absences in the same period. Be aware, know the record. If this is the type of government that you want, then please support the incumbent. I'm asking you to have the opportunity to provide better government than what you've had for the 7+ years with the incumbent as commissioner.
One more. Do you support NOACA? And if so, why or why not?
And who's that question come from? Oh, it's actually one of the submitted questions. Okay. I know there are deeply embedded and heartfelt opinions about NOACA, okay? And my own impression is that you have to be a critical consumer. And I can't say that, one, I would 100% support it all the time, or that I would be against it all the time. NOACA is a great source for government funds to improve the community. It supports projects that don't have to come out of our local tax dollars. Those are all the good things, okay? But in accepting any grant, you have to be aware of what you're buying, okay? Buyer beware, be informed. Oftentimes, with the acceptance of grants, you might give up local control. So you have to be a critical consumer of the type of grants. But my own personal opinion is, if you think I've been hedging, I think that there are opportunities to use NOACA as a vehicle to support public works projects that don't rely on local tax dollars. But again, you don't necessarily want to give up that local control or permanently use forever the use of a particular type of property. And I use an example from my own South Russell Village experience. One of the elected officials in South Russell Village applied for a grant without the full knowledge of council. He signed a contract to engage in use of privately owned property for public purposes, to take a public property that was owned by an HOA and to convert it to wetlands, allegedly for enhanced stormwater control. He didn't engage the people that belonged to the HOA The individual was a resident of that particular HOA, chose to to ignore the HOA rules and to engage in a contract to use that public land or the privately held land for public purposes. You know, in my opinion, he disenfranchised all those people. Luckily, we were able to catch it very early in the process and to prevent it from happening. But that's an example why you have to be informed of what you're going to. And I think there are some good uses of NOACA funds for public projects. But again, be aware of what you're buying into. So.
Okay, thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us tonight, Dennis.
Thanks a lot. I'll just say, it's a lot easier when you're when you're presenting, you know, in a video. And one of the things you don't have to do is answer questions. But thanks a lot, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you. County Prosecutor Jim Flays is not with us tonight, is he? No? Okay. Moving right along, County Clerk of Courts, Sheila Bevington. Sheila?
Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank you for being here and for the invitation to speak to all of you.
Sheila, speaking to the mic.
I'm sorry. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for the invitation to speak. My name is Sheila Bevington. I'm running for Geauga County Clerk of Courts. I am currently employed as a deputy clerk in the legal office of Geauga County Clerk of Court of Common Pleas. Denise Kaminsky, who is a current clerk, will be retiring at the end of 2020. I live in Hampton Township, and I've been married for almost 19 years, to my wonderful husband, Tom. Together we have 3 children and 3 amazing grandchildren. I've had the pleasure of working in public service for over 20 years, and it would be a great honor to serve the citizens of Geauga County as your next clerk of courts and continue the good working relationship with county departments, their supervisors, as well as other elected officials. The clerk of courts is in charge of the legal office, which is located on the 3rd floor of the main courthouse in the square in Chardon, and as well as the title office, which is located at 470 Center Street, Building 8. The clerk also serves as clerk of the 11th District Court of Appeals for Geauga County cases. The legal office processes all civil cases, including foreclosures, torts, general money actions, domestic matters, foreign judgment liens, and state tax liens, as well as felony criminal cases. The legal office follows the Ohio Revised Code, the Ohio Supreme Court Rules of Superintendents, as well as the Geauga County local rules. The title office processes all passport applications, motor vehicle, boat, ATV, mobile home titles, and while the office is under the direction of the clerk of courts, it is also governed by the Ohio Revised Code and the rules of the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, which is under the umbrella of the Ohio Department of Public Safety. The clerk of court's responsibilities also include serving on the Court Technology Committee, the Court Security Committee, the Microfilm Board, ADP Board, and Archives and Records Commission. My objectives are to continue to maintain the great customer service, ensure the preservation of records for generations to come, and to continue to keep up with current technology and to reduce the cost of court cost collection. I will be attending meetings and conferences in Columbus for the Ohio Clerk of Courts Association to keep up with the ever-changing legislation. I will always be available to you either at the legal office, title office, by cell phone, or by email. Thank you so much.
Sheila, we have 12 questions for you. Come back. You're good. You can sit. Thank you, Sheila. For County Sheriff, starting off with Scott A. Hildenbrand.
First off, thank you all for being here, and thanks to GOP for putting this together. I'm Scott A. Hildenbrand, your Geauga County Sheriff. I'm a lifelong Geauga County resident. I graduated from Chardon High School and Auburn Career Center. Out of high school, I joined the Hamden Fire Department, which got me an interest in public safety. I started in 1984 for the Chardon Police Department as a dispatcher, went to police school at night, became a patrolman, and eventually promoted to sergeant. In 2003, when Sheriff Simmons passed away, I went to the Geauga County Sheriff's Office as the chief deputy. In 2016, when Sheriff McClellan retired, I was elected as sheriff and took office in 2017. I attended Lakeland Community College. I'm a certified law enforcement manager by the Buckeye State Sheriff's Association, a graduate of the National Sheriff's Institute in Denver, Colorado, certified emergency medical technician, certified adult instructor, and much more community and professional involvement that's listed on my handouts, so that we really only have 4 minutes. I'm the father of 3 adult children, and I have over 35 years of Geauga County law enforcement experience. As sheriff, we purchased a $130,000 body scanner for the jail with no taxpayer dollars. We used the profits from the commissary fund. This is to keep the contraband out of the jail. We shared in the purchase of 2 drones we used for all safety forces. We converted our cell phones to the FirstNet Public Safety Forces Priority Cell Service and saved the county thousands of dollars. In 2019 alone, our deputies confiscated over 11,000 THC vape pens, 25 pounds of marijuana, 116 marijuana plants, over 5 pounds of cocaine, 4 pounds of methamphetamine, 23 grams of carfentanil, fentanyl, and heroin, and seized $203,000 in U.S. currency. We also partnered with the mental health to produce a response team to go to homes after overdoses. We provide DARE training to our public, private, and Amish schools. All deputies are trained in the use of Narcan, CPR, and AEDs and have saved several lives because of it. I'm a member of the Geauga County Drug Court that Judge Paschke started last year. We've seen a reduction in overdose deaths in the last year. I would like to think it was because of our aggressive efforts with the support of the county commissioners. Our dispatchers answer 911 phones and dispatch for all but 1 police department in the county and all the fire departments in the county. We do this and much more with 117 full-time employees and 32 part-time employees. The Sheriff's Office jail has 182 beds. Those beds not being utilized by Geauga County arrests, we rent out to other counties, cities, and federal government. We have brought back more than $15 million to the county since the jail was built and helped to pay off the $14 million jail in less than 9 years. The jail served more than 148,000 meals last year. Our deputies are highly trained, which is evidenced in the fact that they solved 3 cold case homicides, many robberies, break-ins, and sex crimes in the last few years. Last year alone, there were 82 people charged with multiple felonies. As sheriff, I'm very proud of the fact that I worked closely with the other elected officials in the county. Especially important is the close relationship we have with the prosecutor Flays. All 4 judges, the county commissioners, and a great relationship with all the county police and fire departments. I also work very closely with the neighboring sheriffs and have deputies assigned to Regional SWAT Team, Bomb Squad, U.S. Marshals, Violent Fugitive Task Force, Social Security Fraud Investigation Team, Northeast Ohio Fusion Center Advisory Board. We get more done when we work together. I, Sheriff Scott Hildenbrand, am asking for your vote on March 17th, keeping Geauga County the greatest county to live and raise a family in. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Have one of those hot seats there. And bad job by me. If you haven't yet, can you please silence your phones? Jody, keep yours on. Yours is helpful. Right? Jimmy Lee Holden. Jimmy Lee Holden for the Sheriff's Department? Or for Geauga County Sheriff, I'm sorry.
Oh, I gotta look up there. How about that? Hello, my name's Jimmy Lee Holden, and I too want to thank you for coming out and be part of this process. to learn about your county candidates coming up for the March primary. When I announced that I was going to run for sheriff back in March, I had it's been an awesome experience talking to people out in the public, all the events that I've been at, all the people that have come to my home, coffee shop talk. It has been an awesome experience, and I will cherish those memories forever. I live in Newberry with my wife Donna. We have 5 amazing children. 3 of them live with us. They're teenagers, and they keep us hopping, let me tell you, between all the academics and athletics. We have 2 adult children. Both of them are college graduates, and they're serving their communities in their elected fields, and they're very successful. We also are glad to have a daughter-in-law with us as well. I started my law enforcement career in 1981 with the Stark County Sheriff's Office. I was a reserve deputy. Because I was a reserve deputy, I got to work in many fields. My most favorite and memorable one was when I worked 5 years with the Mounted Unit. I went to Northfield Village in 1985, and in 1987 I wound up in University Heights, where I spent 31 years, retiring in 2018. I have a strong tactical law enforcement response. I spent 12 years on the SWAT team, 10 of those as the team leader. I am an NRA certified pistol instructor, an Ohio Peace Officer Training Academy instructor. I teach firearms, defensive tactics, and various other categories. I currently teach at the Cleveland Heights Police Academy. I have taught at the Basic Police Academy and Ranger Academies for Tri-C. I support self-defense for women. I used to teach a RAD program, Rape Aggression Defense, out of John Carroll University. And since 2006, I've taught people how to handle guns safely for applying for their CCW licenses. I'm a Glen Oak graduate. I have a Bachelor of Science in Government Public Administration through Liberty University, and I have over 1,500 hours of continuing law enforcement education over my career. My assignments through my career have included patrol officer, I was the training officer, teaching all of the defensive tactics, firearms, taser, and anything else that had to do with the use of force. In 2002, I was promoted to a road supervisor, became the training director for my agency, and when I was promoted to lieutenant, I became the jail administrator. I was in charge of evidence and property management, fleet management, and various other activities in my agency. I believe the residents and deputies deserve a full-time sheriff with a strong tactical response and instructional background, which I have. I want to improve investigations as your sheriff, provide modern policing concepts. I want to implement community partnerships with programs with our community. And I want to reallocate resources to help fight the drug epidemic. Although we are doing a good job, I think we can be doing better. I am a conservative Republican who stands for the Constitution. I am a NRA Life benefactor member. I'm a life member of the Ohio Gun Collectors Association, member of the Buckeye Firearms Association, and I have supported the Second Amendment all of my adult life. I'm a current board member of the Geauga County Board of Mental Health and Recovery Services, and I have many other areas and associations that I'm joined to. I am looking for your support to be your county sheriff come March. Thank you for your time. 30 seconds, I'm good. Who's it for?
Either. Oh, I've got a couple questions that we're going to ask you both
you can ask
to
them
answer.
both.
Yes. All right. So law enforcement is an important function of the county, but not the only division. How important are the other divisions and of the
Of the sheriff's
of the
office.
sheriff? How? Okay, let me start over. We tell you get into the thing yet. Law enforcement is an important function of the Geauga County Sheriff's Office, but not the only division. How important are the other divisions of the Sheriff's Office to you, and why?
Is this on? All the divisions are equally important. They're all statutorily required of the sheriff, and you can't say that one division is more important than the other. They're all very important, and they all serve the citizens of this county, and we take that seriously.
I'd like to expound on that a little bit. when you pick up the telephone and call 911, you get a group of individuals that's highly trained and are really listening to what your needs are, and they're going to be able to best direct the response that the Sheriff's Department's going to give you. Then you're going to have your road unit that responds. They're going to take care of your immediate needs. And of course, we have our jail, which is very important here in the county. And you have our jail transport officers and your court security, which is an integral part of the organization. And there's not one that's any more better than the other. They all have a purpose, and we have to support them all.
Here's a good one. Candidates are always eager to tell us how they will spend more tax money. In your elected position, what programs would you immediately eliminate due to ineffectiveness, and which programs would you redeploy current resources towards in an effort to guard against another tax grab?
Well, I don't intend on eliminating anything. I think that we are very conservative in our spending. We do as much as we can with what we get. We don't ask for more money, and we do the job with the money we get. I think we're doing a good job. If I didn't think we were doing a good job, I'd change it now.
After listening to the sheriff and all the programs that he's involved in, I agree with everything that he's in. I believe in networking with all of the units out there. Expanding our horizons is a good thing. If I saw a flaw in anything, it would be in the jail right now. In 2018, the jail was charging $65 a day for inmates to rent for jail space. And when I closed my jail in University Heights in 2017, and I was shopping around looking for a place to put them, Geauga County was charging $99 a day and Solon was charging $85 a day. And I think that we're missing the boat there, and we should probably raise the rent on our jail to help ease the tax burden on our residents, because we would be generating more money into our jail. We also charge $75 a day for our ICE inmates or federal prisoners, and I believe that that needs to be bumped up as well. The money generated there, we could maybe get ourselves a drug task force going here, because we're the only county in northern Ohio that does not have a drug task force, and I think we're lacking in that area, and we need to do more drug enforcement with a task force where we can network with the agencies and surrounding counties and try to stop the epidemic.
Just to add on to that, the price of the jail, the rent we charge is based on a formula, and the cost it cost us to run the jail. And because we run an efficient jail, the cost is down to $65 because that's the way the formula falls out, just to clarify that.
Jimmy Lee, this one's specifically for you. Oh, okay. What plans do you have for the personnel of the Sheriff's Department in reference to training, supervision, and funding for equipment?
Well, my background is in training, and I pulled the training records for the Sheriff's Department for the last 3 years, and although it looks like there's a lot of quality training there, in my opinion, as a qualified trainer, I think we could be doing better in providing training for our deputies. Mine is generally in law enforcement tactics, firearms, tactical response, but there are other things there that we could also generate and bring in. Law enforcement is an ever-changing profession, and we have to stay current, we have to stay on top of it, and I just don't think that we're doing a good enough job to provide our deputies with the information that they need and the training they need to provide you, the residents, with the service that they deserve. So we bring in outside training into the Sheriff's Department. We offer it also to our community police departments. We can do that off of block grants. Some of the training, we can train some of our deputies to be instructors, and they can bring that back and do training. And I think we can fund that. I realize there's a formula that's used, but I believe if we raise the jail rent a little bit, that would be extra money coming in to the jail that we could ask the county commissioners to utilize for training our deputies and providing them with equipment.
And Scott, I have one that asks, how do you respond to the constituents who question whether you are devoted full-time to the position of sheriff while also holding the position of Hampton Fire Chief? In the event of there's a fire while you're on duty as a sheriff, which position takes priority?
The whole concept of a volunteer fire department is that you go and volunteer to help your neighbors when you have time, when they're having a bad day. And I've held both positions. I've been on the fire department for a little bit longer than I've been in law enforcement, but I've been doing both of them for about almost 40 years, and it's never been a conflict. I have good people underneath me that handle things. You surround yourself with good people. We have good employees in both locations, at the fire station and at the sheriff's office. And as far as full-time, I'm the sheriff 24/7, and I'm on the phone. I'm always in contact, and if need be, I come in and do what needs to be done. If not, I trust the employees that we have, and they keep me informed all the time.
And last one for both of you. Should red flag laws be enacted in Ohio in any form, would you enforce them? And do you believe they violate due process?
Well, I'm a big proponent of the Second Amendment, and no, I am not a fan of red flag laws unless they are constitutionally sound, okay, and provide due process for the individual. As long as we have red flag laws that provide due process, as county sheriff, we would work with the courts in making sure that, we took whatever action we needed to take. Obviously, if it doesn't provide due process, that really scares me because it's violating our constitutional rights, and I would probably be opposed to it.
I too am not excited about the red flag laws. I think there's too much there to be abused. It's too easily abused. I have not read it. I mean, we'd have to read it in the end, but the bottom line is I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution of the state of Ohio and the United States of America, and that's what I'll do.
Thank you both. Again, thank both of you gentlemen for being here with us tonight. Moving on to the county recorder, we have Celesta Mullins. Is Celesta with us? Oh, I'm sorry.
Good evening, and thank you for coming out. My name is Celesta Mullins, and I am running to serve as your Geauga County Recorder. I have a 12-year-old son that attends Cardinal Middle School. I have a fiance, and together we enjoy the beautiful Geauga outdoors. My son and I appreciate volunteering for the Department on Aging, delivering meals on Thanksgiving Day. We also enjoy spending time in the Geauga parks. We like to kayak, bike, and walk our dog Thor, who is a lovable Great Dane. We also enjoy riding our motorcycles around seeing all the beautiful sights Geauga has to offer. Prior to working for the recorder's office, I was a title examiner. I started in the real estate world when I was a teenager in high school. At that time, I worked for a realtor as an administrative assistant. I went to school and earned my paralegal degree from Lakeland Community College. I am currently the chief deputy for the recorder's office. I have worked in the office for over 20 years, where I have worked under 4 Geauga County recorders and gained valuable insight from each of them. I have also lent my knowledge to other county recorders surrounding Geauga. As a leadership Geauga graduate, I feel compelled to serve our county in the capacity of recorder. In 2007, I was appointed interim recorder when Margie McBride resigned to be with her husband in Virginia. Your Geauga County Recorder's Office is important to me. My passion is with the Recorder's Office and not a stepping stone to another elected position. I am familiar with all requirements of your Recorder's Office as prescribed by the Ohio Revised Code. It is my sincere desire to continue to protect the residents' most valuable, tangible asset, your land records. I will continue to refrain from placing land record images online as there is sensitive information filed in our office in your mortgages and deeds. Looking ahead, it is my desire to implement a credit card system. I would like to continue moving forward with technology and make payments easier for our customers. As your public servant, I also want to continue to promote property fraud program, the Veterans ID program, as well as the Good Deeds program. I have a good working relationship with all Geauga County departments and officials. I am endorsed by the current Geauga County Recorder, Sharon Gingrich. With my 20-plus years of experience, I am uniquely qualified to serve our county as the next Geauga County Recorder. I will continue to serve the public to the best of my abilities and always according to the law. I will continue with conservative spending practices, and I will faithfully and impartially discharge all duties as prescribed. Service to others will always be my mission. It would be an honor to have your support on March 17th. Please remember, Celesta Mullins will continue the quality public service as your Geauga County Recorder. Experience counts. Thank you.
And Carrie Lynch Quay?
Quay.
Quay, I'm sorry.
No, she's not here.
Carrie is not
I don't
here.
think we have any questions for you, Celesta.
Okay.
We have several that aren't here, Joe.
And now is the fast portion of the program where we have a lot of people that are not here today, right? Chris Hitchcock, County Treasurer. County Engineer, Joe Cattell. Is Joe with us? County Coroner. How about Probate Juvenile County Judge of Common Pleas? Judge Tim Grindell is not with us tonight, right? I have not.
I was informed today that he is not with us tonight. Unfortunately, I would have liked to have him here, and yeah, so he's not here tonight, unfortunately. Yeah, I know, but I wasn't informed until today, unfortunately. So that's fine, but yeah, so I didn't know until today, unfortunately. I know a lot of you probably came to hear him speak, and he wasn't able to be here today, all right? So.
And then Matthew Rambo.
Good evening, Geauga County voters, and happy President's Day. My name is Matt Rambo, and I'm running to be your next probate and juvenile court judge. Before I start, I'd like to thank Chair Nancy MacArthur and the Geauga County Republican Party for having this forum. It's a good opportunity to meet the candidates you might not otherwise get. A little background about myself. I'm an attorney. I currently have a private practice with a firm in Mayfield Village. My wife and I met in law school at Ohio State, and we live in Russell with 2 little boys. I'm running because Geauga County deserves better in a probate and juvenile judge. First, the court needs to work collaboratively with county government and other elected officials to solve the challenges the county faces. I'm reminded that bullying of any kind is unacceptable either in the classroom or the courtroom. Second, the court should not be in the advertising business. The court spends currently thousands of public dollars on promotional items, wristbands, rubber gavels, newsletters, placemats at local diners, advertisements in church bulletins, a separate website from the current county website, and the list goes on. My picture will not be plastered all over the county using your tax dollars. Third, the court should be transparent in its dealings with the public and with others in county government. Under my leadership, instead of hiding behind orders to pay and journal entries, the court will actively participate in the budgeting process with the commissioners to ensure that your public money is being spent wisely. I would also like to see public comment and open meetings return to the Park District. After all, they are your parks paid for with your money. Finally, the current administrative costs of the court are unacceptably high. The court's expenditures are currently, or at least in 2018, the most current record, $1 million higher than they were in 2011. I will cut unnecessary employee expenses and travel and ensure that every employee is well qualified for the position for which they were hired. Geauga County, we must do better, we can do better, I will do better. Please make your voices heard on March 17th. After all, decisions are made by those who show up. So please vote for me, Matt Rambo, for probate judge on March 17th. Thank you. Do I get to use this microphone?
So we're going to start off with two pretty tough questions, but part one and two.
Part one and part two, huh? All right. Your November 15th, 2019 campaign letter states you have been a registered Republican most of your voting life, and you have joined the you have joined the Democrat. Wow. Yeah. Joined the Democrats to vote for a friend in 2017. I've got bad eyes, sorry. Franklin County Board of Elections show your affiliation as Democrat in 2010, and you voted Democrat. Prior to that, you were unaffiliated but voted. Please explain.
Okay.
But voted Democrat.
So
Please
I
explain.
know that there's a lot of what I'll just call fake news about my voting record. It's true the Secretary of State's website only goes back to 2010. I'm a lifelong Republican. I was born in a Republican household. I did vote Democrat in 17, and in 16 I voted Republican, and in 14 I voted Republican, and in 12 I voted Republican. I was vice president of the Federalist Society in law school. I used to run home as a kid to watch Rush Limbaugh on TV. Who remembers the TV show? And on top of that, judge is a nonpartisan position. I know it's a partisan primary, but I'm not a Democratic judge. I'm not a judge for Republicans. I'm a judge for the people. So when you come before me, you're coming before me so I can uphold the Constitution and apply the laws of the state evenly, not in a partisan way.
Okay,
Part two.
And in case you didn't get enough of that one, you stated in the GOP voter guide that you fully support the Republican platform. Yet you ran for Geauga Common Pleas as a Democrat in 2018. Why should we believe you support the Republican platform when just last year you supported the Democratic platform?
Well, again, there's no platform for judges. I don't take a pledge or an oath to uphold a platform. I take a pledge or an oath to uphold the Constitution of this state and of the United States. There was no oath that I ever gave. I do support the Second Amendment. I'm a gun owner, which is really about as far as I can go in talking about specific issues. Judges are bound by ethical rules when it comes to issues that may appear before the court. So I will say generally I support the Republican platform as printed on the GOP website.
What is your view on the limits of judicial power in this office, and what have you done or will you do to ensure you stay true to your beliefs?
So what's funny is, the judge has a specific duty, and the probate court has a specific statute that outlines the probate court's job. That's your job. Go to court, go to work every day, do what's prescribed by the statutes and the Constitution. Same with juvenile court. The judge has no business outside of that role. The judge has no business other than what is specifically prescribed for in the statute.
Can you please explain your qualifications? Can you please explain your qualifications would be for park commissioner appointee or appointer? I'm sorry.
So the funny thing about the probate judge and park commissioners, which is there's been a lot of talk about it, at least in this county, there's just one line. Probate judge shall appoint park commissioners. Okay, so that's what I would do. I would have an open application process, appoint who I feel are well-qualified, conservation-minded, and also business-minded people. The Parks District is obviously a huge business in the county. And then let them do their jobs. It's not my job as the probate judge to micromanage the court. My job is to be the probate judge, not the parks manager. So I think I would kind of set it and forget it, I think is the best way to put it.
Juvenile abuse and neglect cases are complicated by serious issues. How will you ensure that you are making decisions in the best interest of the child?
I currently serve as a guardian ad litem. I've been a guardian ad litem since 2016. I do most of my work in Ashtabula County, which I don't know how many of you are familiar with the juvenile system in Ashtabula County, but it's rough. So I'm acutely aware, both as a father and a guardian ad litem, of what a child needs and what is in the best interest in the child. I know that there's always going to be two sides to every story when a family comes before you. Either mom or dad is going to have a story. You need to find out from your CASAs or from your guardians what is in the best interest of the child, and always rule in the best interests of the kids. And they may not like it. Sometimes the kids are teenagers or young, 10, 11, 12. They have very strong opinions about what they want. And even as a guardian, I have to apply to the court and say, this teenager needs an attorney because they disagree with what I want the court to do. So it's always in their best interest to the best of your ability.
Last one. Can you please explain the bind-over process for juvenile offenders, and do you support that process?
So the bind-over process, and it's changed a little bit in the last couple of years. There's now more mandatory bind-over for certain offenses and serious offenses. And I tend to believe that when juveniles come before the court and are charged with homicide or severe assault or some sexual offenses, that belongs, for the most part, in a more serious, well, I don't want to say serious, but the common pleas court, which is dealing with felonies every day. Juvenile offenders aren't really convicted or found guilty of crimes they're found true. They're not of offenses. So it's a little bit different. It's kind of a weird situation, but those more serious crimes definitely, in my opinion, belong in common pleas court. That's it. Oh, Mr. McNeil has one. It's not on a pink card, Jim. I don't think it counts.
The last one was a waiver.
And honestly, if you have more questions than you can get to tonight, I have a Facebook page, I have a website. Send me a question. I'll do my best to answer it.
We have to move, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We have too many other.
Thank you.
No, it's not censorship. We have a limit of time and we have a lot of other people, so we have
Again,
a lot of questions.
I'd be more than happy to answer your questions in a different setting if you have them.
You can see him,
I do my best. I'm sorry.
see him afterwards.
Thank you, Matt.
Great.
I believe I was told David Joyce is not with us tonight, right? He is. Okay. Moving on to the Ohio State Senators in District 18. Is Jerry Serino, please.
Thank you. Good evening. By the way, Dave Joyce just texted me and said he yields his time to me. So, just kidding, Nancy, don't have a heart attack. I'm pleased to be here, and thank you all for coming out tonight. It's just very heartening to see so many people in the community interested in what candidates have to say. There's a lot of choices that have to be made, not just in the primary, but certainly in the general election coming up later this year. As my biography tells you in the guide, I'm currently a Lake County Commissioner in my 4th year as a commissioner. I'm a relative newcomer to the political realm. I ran for office for the first time at the ripe age of 65, and what was I thinking? But I'd retired as a CEO of a medical device company and spent a lot of time as a business owner and working as a consultant for businesses. And I really decided it was time, since I retired from the business world on a day-to-day basis, that it was time to jump in and do some things that I felt very strongly about. And that's why I ran for county commissioner. You've talked a lot tonight with the other candidates about county commissioners' roles, so you know what commissioners do. But it's really important to be engaged in the community. I spent probably close to 50% of my time in the last 2 years working to keep the nuclear power plant open in Perry, the closure of which would have caused an economic cataclysm, not only in Lake County, would have impacted Geauga, and would have impacted Ashtabula County as well. So we were able to get House Bill 6 passed. I spent a lot of time with the legislature on that, and we were able to lower utility rates for electricity for both businesses and consumers at the same time. In running for the Senate, and when the Senate leadership in Columbus asked me to do this, they told me that they were very excited to have somebody running for the Senate or coming to the Senate, should I succeed, that has both business experience and experience in the community as a county commissioner. And really, the experience of both of those roles, I believe, will serve me well in representing the 18th district, which includes most of Geauga, about 2/3 of Lake County, and all of Portage County. So it's a very big Senate district. My focus is going to be on job creation, which I understand I've created 300 jobs into Lake County, and other jobs certainly around the supporting communities around Lake County. Educational choice is very important to me. Workforce development, we just don't have enough workers to meet the needs of local businesses, and we do have to change that, and we're going to have to work collaboratively with our educational institutions to improve that. Lowering taxes, I think we're just getting started, lowering our taxes, and protecting family values. And the Second Amendment has come up a lot of times, and I'm not personally a gun user, but I'm a strict constitutionalist. And to me, the Second Amendment is as important as the First Amendment, and many of them. So in Columbus, you can count on me as a strict constitutionalist to support programs and legislation that definitely supports the Constitution the way I believe it was intended. I've been endorsed by Senator Eklund, who is term limited, as I think most of you know, and I am uncontested in the primary, but I still want to get my name out in the counties that I don't live in. I live in Kirtland. Right here, I'm almost in Geauga County. I live on Kirtland Chardon Road, so that ought to count for something. But I'm very familiar with the area and look forward to getting your support. I have signs here if you'd like to take some home with you. I want them up for the primary, just for name ID, but also take them down and then put them back up again in August. That would be great. I very much would appreciate your vote. I promise to work hard for this community and to make sure that Ohio keeps the right values that are important to all of us as voters. Thank you very much. Question?
A couple questions for you, Jerry. Cranes recently reported on the unintended consequences of the nuclear plant bailout. What do you think should be the legislature's response to protect ratepayers?
Well, the House Bill 6, and there was a lot of debate on House Bill 6. I testified in both the House and the Senate. I have no particular, connection with First Energy at all, okay? I don't like paying my monthly bill any more than anybody else does. And the original bill, the Zen legislation, was not going to be good for businesses particularly. It was going to significantly increase energy costs. The way the bill was finally structured, we were able to take $4 a month that most of us were paying in our electric bill, most of us didn't even know that, for alternative energy programs that were being spent outside of the state of Ohio. So we're able to continue supporting alternative energy, which I believe in, wind and solar, that's great, but wind and solar are not producing enough kilowatts to substitute for 2 nuclear power plants in Ohio. When they can, that's fine with me. We had $18 million a year in Lake County in taxes generated by Perry, and 700 direct jobs and another 700 of indirect jobs. We could not simply sit back and watch that go away.
Tell you what,
You want me to read it?
Yeah, can you read that?
I didn't bring my glasses. But I can read it. Let's let Nancy read it here. You struggled with that last question before, with the other one.
Scientists say global warming is a world emergency. Ohio has done very little to show leadership in curbing the warming of our planet to acidification of our oceans. Will you show leadership to solve this problem? How? Please explain.
Okay, everybody get the question? I love the environment. I grew up in the city of Cleveland, so for me to live across from Penitentiary Glen and down the road from the Arboretum is a real privilege, okay? I mean, I grew up in where our houses were all connected to each other, and you could cut your grass with the scissors, okay? It was just not a great, so I absolutely value the environment. We want to protect it. We want to protect the water and the parks and all that sort of thing that we need to enjoy, and our kids and grandkids need to enjoy. The problem is that with the global warming issue here, it has been highly politicized, and the scientific community have put aside a lot of objectivity in trying to capitalize on the politicization of global warming. We need to, wherever we can, allow technology to develop and provide incentives so that we can run cleaner. I remember 20, 30 years ago when the air quality was terrible. We've improved it. When Lake Erie was declared dead, and we got that fixed with technology and regulations. We just don't want to go overboard and start setting goals and standards like the Green New Deal, which if you've read it, please, if you haven't read it, please read it. It's a 8th grade term paper and not a good one. It's just absolutely intellectually vacant of any rational thought, okay? And doesn't talk about global warming for about 2/3 of it, okay? It's income redistribution. So let's protect the environment and be rational about it, but let's not go overboard and try to set regulations in place that simply don't make sense for our economy.
Last one. The Federal Department of Energy has not spent over $300 million this last fiscal year with funds that were set for alternative energies. What would you do, and how would you work diligently to ensure some of those monies make their way to Geauga County?
Well, I can't speak to what the federal government is spending or not spending. The Federal Energy Commission, which we worked with on trying to find a federal solution to keep the plants open. But I will tell you that House Bill 6 is already in place and now has survived numerous challenges, does provide for support for alternative energy development. Okay, it just simply does. And as a senator, I would continue to support that. And again, as alternative energy can produce more kilowatts to meet the needs of the people of Ohio so we don't have to buy our power from outside the state, I'm certainly open to that. But right now it's a matter of meeting the needs of the energy needs of the people of the state of Ohio.
Thank you, Jerry. Is Mike Berger with us, Republican State Central Committee? Mike Berger?
Jim, you're right for just a second. So State Central Committee is, I believe, an unpaid position. And so in Geauga County, we're a split county. We're in 2 different Senate districts. I live in Senate District 32. And the majority of it is in Senate District 18, which is Senator Eklund and the same Senate district Jerry Serino is running for. So each one of those districts has both a man and a woman that serve in the State Central Committee on the Republican side and the Democratic side, and there's a man and a woman. So that's who you're going to be hearing from next, and these are the folks that want to run for that position and want to represent you in Columbus.
Well, good evening. My name is Mike Berger, and I am a candidate running for the next State Central Committee seat for the 18th District. And as Madam Chairman had mentioned, it does cover all of Portage County, a good portion of Geauga, and Lake County. And before I get started, I would like to thank the Chairman and the Geauga County Republican Party for having us all out here. I think it is very good to give the candidates an opportunity to share and to meet some folks and let everyone hear a little bit about our experience and a little bit about myself and why I'm running for the State Central Committee. I am pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, pro-Trump, a fiscal conservative, and support limited government. My wife, Melissa, and I have been married for over 27 years. We live in Mogador, which is in Portage County. We've been lifelong residents of the Mogador area, grew up there, raised our families there. We have 2 young adult sons who are currently trying to complete their engineering degrees from the University of Akron. They do graduate this May, so we're very happy about that, and we're very proud about that. Being pro-life, I can't even imagine not having my sons and our family, and we just love them a lot. And I can't imagine also a time when we're not going to be writing checks out to the University of Akron. As a pro-Second Amendment supporter, I am very thankful to live in a country and in a state where my family and I can be defended, and we have that right to carry a firearm. And we do own and carry firearms. My whole family, we're trained, and we really are advocates of the Second Amendment. I am a businessman who served both in the public and the private sector for over 30 years. Currently, I serve as the Director of Claims Operations for the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation in North Canton. For 25 years, I worked in business. I was a business owner, and I understand how burdensome laws and regulations affect businesses and the workers that are there. It can hurt them, it can destroy them, and I think that's very important that we understand that. Business and government also need to spend wisely. And just like hardworking Americans, all of us, we have to watch what we spend, and we're raising our family, and we want to make sure that we can try to make ends meet. So that's why I support a limited government. That's why I am a fiscal conservative, and that's why I support President Trump. I have a passion for people, for problem solving, and organizational excellence. And over the years in business, I found a few things that were key to my success. Connecting with and caring for people, building trust and strong relationships, finding solutions and getting things done, and striving to be the best and providing the best service. I'm running for State Central Committee because we need to continue to recruit, support, and elect good Republican candidates. As a Portage County Central Committee member, I've worked hard and will continue to work hard to make sure that Republican candidates who believe in our values get elected. The timing is right, and I have the experience necessary to make sure our voices are heard in the State Central Committee in Columbus, and that we're able to help candidates win races in the 18th District and around the state of Ohio. I'd like to hear your concerns. I'd like to bring your voice to the Ohio Republican Party in Columbus. Please say hello, call me, reach out to me, follow me on social media, and I appreciate your trust, your confidence, and your vote in the March 2020 primary. My name's Mike Berger. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Also for the State Central Committee in District 18, John Plesnick. Was it? Am I saying that right, John?
Thank you.
Almost.
Sorry, John.
I like to say I'm not John Plechnik, I'm not John Plesnick, I'm John Plechnik, and I'm darn proud of it. As some of you might have guessed, Plechnik is a Slovenian name, and that's a big reason why I'm a conservative Republican. Because my grandfather was a small businessman. He owned a lumber mill in his little village of Otereshica, where he was a very religious Catholic, went to church, and was also the mayor of a village about 550 people. And when the communists took over with Yugoslavia, took over Slovenia, he had 3 strikes against him. He was a capitalist as a small businessman, he was a Christian as someone who went to church, and he was a politician. People voted for him. So they put my grandfather on a death list, and thank God for the United States of America, because he was able to come to Ohio and start a new life with his family. My father was just 11 years old when they came to Ohio. But I would be a professor at the University of Ljubljana right now instead of Cleveland State University if it weren't for communism. And I know full well that Bernie Sanders and the socialism hint really means communism that we're hearing about today. I know the danger that it represents. So I'm not just a Republican because I kind of agree. I'm a Republican because I'm only alive, because my family is only alive, because of the values we have in this country. But I want to talk about President's Day for a second, because that's the real reason we're all here. Our first president, George Washington, always said, "Deeds, not words." Actions speak louder than words. Every person can step up to this microphone and promise you the world. And by the way, there are a lot of Democrats who are doing that right now. But with the small positions I've been trusted with, I haven't just promised, I've kept my promises. When I ran for council, when I asked to be a library trustee, I said I would never vote for a deficit budget. A lot of people say they won't, but when it comes in front of them, oh, the employees, they pressured me. The donors, they pressured me. Oh, I can see the compromise. No. I voted no on a deficit budget as a councilman, and when I became chair of finance, when Republicans took a majority of council, we only passed balanced budgets. We had a $14 million debt when I first took office as a city councilman for Willoughby Hills. When I left, $7 million, cut it in half. And I cut taxes twice in that same period. I didn't just talk about it, I did it. When I said, running for council, that one of the biggest issues we had was we had a vacant building, Sam's Club. One of the biggest businesses in our city and in Lake County had left. I said I was going to fill that building. Before I left, 300 new jobs, produce packaging, real tax dollars, real support for our city. I brought them in. And when I say I brought them in, I mean that when our mayor said, like Nancy Pelosi, I'm too busy trying to get rid of all the Republicans. I had produce packaging call me and say, we don't know what to do. Your mayor won't come to the meeting. Your mayor won't support us. You're the chair of finance. What'll you do? Well, I went to the meeting with Jobs Ohio. I negotiated, I drafted the tax abatement, and we brought over 300 good-paying jobs in the city. Because when the liberals don't show up, the Republicans do, and we get the job done. That's what I'm talking about when I say actions speak louder than words. I know I've only been trusted with humble and modest roles, and what I'm running for is another one. But let me tell you, those roles add up when you elect the right people. I got to say again, President's Day. This is about re-electing President Donald Trump. When I say that I'm pro-life, I mean I've been pro-life my entire life. When I say I'm pro-Second Amendment, I mean no red flag laws, not the pink versions. And when I say pro-Donald Trump, I mean I was a volunteer team leader for Donald Trump at the Republican National Convention. I was at the first volunteer meeting for him in Lake County, and I am proud to say I voted for him in the primary in 2016, and I'll be voting for him now. Thank you. I'm John Plechnik.
And James R. Sherbaugh, Jr.
Thank you. That's what you're going to look for on the ballot, I would hope. James R. Sherbaugh, Jr. I am from originally Western Pennsylvania, southwestern Pennsylvania. Grew up there. I moved here 15 years ago into Portage County, Atwater to be exact, after my wife passed away. Last year, I moved to Manaway. The reason I'm running is that we need to give the people a clear and strong voice in Columbus. We also need to protect your God-given rights. Your rights under the Constitution. And by my actions in Columbus, and elsewhere that may be directed by you, I will do so. I'll keep myself guided. My compass is God and family. And the Constitution, again. Always the Constitution. The party platform, the Republican core party platform, that needs to be, the values of that needs to be grown. We need to support, when we go into this position, I call it SNAP. It's not a program for assistance. It's a program for advocating and being there for you. I have to negotiate in this position for you. I have to advocate for you also. And I have to participate. And I can do that because I am retired. I can spend that extra time, be in Columbus in the morning. I won't raise my hand for a vote just because of pressure. Served in the U.S. military. I went to many leadership courses. During the Cold War, yes, in the 80s we still had a Cold War. I was a successful owner of 2 corporations across the country for almost 20 years. And I had been asked to work for President Trump, a candidate at the time, and then turned into the president. It started in August of 2016 on the Native American Coalition, and it evolved in being an advisor to the president for about a year and a half. We dealt with issues across the board: national security, farming, EPA. President likes to work hard. I did not take a paycheck. I stayed at home. I turned a job down to move into D.C. My wife was getting sick, so I had to tend to that. I worked more, actually, with Eric Trump than anybody on phone conferences and emails and things like that. But I have had a few interesting emails from the president himself. So, for 4 years, I've been on County Central Committee in Portage County. I will treat your county, so that's where experience comes into. I will treat your counties just the same. Neither county can be forgotten, and I have to listen to the people. Thank you.
Thank you, James. For the Republican State Central Committee in District 18 for women, there are 2 candidates as well. Elaine Cross cannot be with us here tonight as she's attending to a family emergency. Is Mary O'Toole with us? Mary? Mary's not here either. Okay, moving right along. Ohio State Senator for District 32. How about Sandra O'Brien? Thank you.
Let me start with a warning. Out of all the races for Ohio's legislature this year, this race, Ohio's 32nd Senate race, is unique. There is a far-left group of extremists called Swing Left targeting this district, which includes all of Trumbull County, all of Ashtabula County, and the northeast section of Geauga County. Swing Left is coming off a recent, very successful election in Virginia, where they elected legislators who hold radical far-left views. They are funded by billionaire Michael Bloomberg. They are the reason Virginians are losing their Second Amendment rights. Swing Left is the reason that their governor is pushing for infanticide. Swing Left is a dangerous group with dangerous ideas. They are supporting my opponent, Democrat Sean O'Brien. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the candidate who is willing and able to stand up against this attack to our communities. Now, think back to when you were in junior high school and the teachers that you had. That's who I am. I'm a junior high teacher, and I've also taught at the collegiate level. I grew up in Geauga County, graduated from Kenston High School, married my high school sweetheart. We moved into Ashtabula County, where we raised our 4 children. They attended high school here at Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, and I have grandchildren there now. I graduated from Bowling Green State University. I hold a master's degree in administration. And then I got a little crazy and ran for county auditor in Ashtabula County against a 20-year incumbent. Defeated him, was elected 3 terms, served as 12 years. I understand government financing inside out and backwards, because that's what county auditors do. And that gives me a real plus running as senator, because I can hit the ground running with understanding Ohio's budget. Now let me explain what I can do for our 32nd district. Ohio is composed of 33 state legislators. 24 of them are Republican, 9 are Democrats. The 32nd district is currently represented by Democrat Sean O'Brien. The reason we need to send a Republican senator is because of how it works. Basically, our current senator does not have a seat at the table. I will go in as a member of the majority party where decisions are made. So I will be able to bring more of our hard-earned tax dollars back to us. Solid Second Amendment supporter, concealed carry, NRA, endorsed by Buckeye Firearms, 100% pro-life, current senator voted against the heartbeat bill. Had I been your senator, I would have voted for it. I humbly ask for your support. I'm Sandy O'Brien, running for the 32nd Senate District.
Also running for District 32 is Kenneth J. Polk. Kenneth J. Polk, not here today. Questions? Do we have any questions? No questions. No questions. All right. We also have District 32, we have a Republican State Central Committee with Craig O'Brien. Casey, I am sorry. Casey O'Brien running. He's not here today, right?
He happens to be Sandy's son. He's my son, he's not here. She can attest to that.
Oh, boy. Son's too busy today, huh? Homework? No. How about, let me see if I can do this one better. We also, in District 32, Republican State Central Committee for Women, we have a couple candidates. Is Kathy Creed with us?
I am.
Hi, Kathy.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Geauga County. Fellow candidates, I'm happy to be here this evening. Thank you for this great forum. It's the last page, folks. My name's Kathy Creed, and I'm running for State Central Committee in the 32nd Senate District, a small portion of Geauga in the northern area. And like your County Central Committee, they adopt bylaws, elect the party chairman, and support candidates. Each Senate district is represented by one woman, one man that are elected biannually in the primary. So it doesn't go on in November, it's decided in the primary. My personal life, my husband and I will be celebrating our 50th wedding anniversary in April. And I know some of you out there know John, and you're saying, wow, that's a miracle. My dad was a pastor, and he always said that John was great subject material. So we have 2 sons, 4 grandchildren, and 2 delightful daughters-in-law. In order to make a decision on which candidate to vote for, my number one consideration is their worldview. Does it align with my Christian worldview? Then I look at their qualifications. Then I look at whether or not they have the experience. What makes them different than the other candidate? I believe that Melissa and I both share the same worldview. I believe we're both qualified. As far as experience, I have served as chairman of the Trumbull County GOP, president of our county GOP Women, vice president of the state GOP Women in the Northeast District for 3 terms. I've been a member of our county executive and central committees for over 30 years. I served on state central committee for 6 consecutive terms. I've been a poll worker, nursing home, voter clerk, part-time office staff, rover. I serve as a board member on the Trumbull County Board of Elections. Experience has taught me that communication is the key ingredient in solving problems and reaching agreements. Only when we listen and take all things into consideration can we have a meaningful dialogue without confrontation. Texts and emails can start a dialogue but are inadequate to address major concerns. Face-to-face is best. Currently, the state committee endorses itself, but putting that aside, they also endorse in contested primaries. That means that the voters at large have a candidate they may or may not agree with, fully supported by the resources of the state party. It is my understanding in this primary, instead of a mail piece, they will be distributing a digital slate cord. Now, a chairman can add to this, but not if a candidate's opponent has been endorsed by the state GOP. I would look very closely at this process, as it may unfairly represent the preferences of a county party. The state committee representative is your voice, and it should be clear to you what business will be taking place. I fully support conservative values, your constitutional right, and President Trump. I would appreciate your vote in the primary. Thank you.
Thank you. And we also have Melissa Pope.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for coming out here tonight. Thank you, Nancy. I am Melissa Pope, and I am your State Central Committee woman for the 32nd Ohio State Senate District, covering all of Ashtabula and Trumbull counties, and the communities of Chardon City, Hamden, Montville, Thompson, Clarendon, Aquila Village, and Huntsburg here in Geauga County. I am also a wife, a mother of 3, and a grandmother of 3. I am a proud NRA member, I have my concealed carry license, and I am pro-life. I am also a member of the Ashtabula County Republican Women's Group, the Executive Committee, and I am excited to say a delegate at large for President Trump in this upcoming 2020 election. I was first elected to this seat in 2012 and have held it for 4 terms. I am hoping to continue to represent you for another term. I enjoy the work that the State Central Committee does. We are elected every 2 years in the primary election, and although we are a volunteer group, we are like the local parties. We fundraise, support candidates and elected officials, we campaign for candidates, and we work closely with Chairman Jane Timken and promote what is in the best interest of the Ohio Republican Party. For the past 8 years, I have also helped to strengthen the communication to the district that had been lacking. Where there used to be little to no contact, we now communicate with our state and U.S. elected officials and their staff on a regular basis. We have candidates and elected officials, both at the state and U.S. levels, coming into the district consistently, and not just during their election cycle. I have been able to bring the statewide and U.S. elected officials to the district for their own fundraising, as guest speakers for local races, for local events, or just out to meet the voters. I have also made sure that the candidates and the elected officials are introduced to and connected with our local officials, our party members, our volunteers, and anyone else who can be helpful. I am asking for your support and vote in my election this March so I can continue to keep this communication and connection here in the district. I love this party and this community, and I not only enjoy being your State Central Committee woman, but I am passionate about what I do. I feel honored to be your committee woman, and I hope you see fit to reelect me for this position. Thank you very much for your time, your support, and your vote.
Thank you both. Moving on to the Ohio State Representative District 76. We have a couple candidates, as I learned earlier tonight, with Judge Grindell in Washington. I'm going to guess Diane is as well. I did not see her tonight. Okay. And we have with us tonight Frank Hall. Yep, Frank.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Little warning, if this starts to sound like a pregame football speech, don't be alarmed. That's how I speak best. So, my wife and I moved here to Geauga County 3 years ago. My relationship with Geauga County goes well back from that. And we're very blessed and thankful that we were able to bring our 9 children and raise them in Geauga County. It's a special place. It needs to be protected. And I believe America should look at Geauga County and try to do what we're doing here. I'm not a CEO. I'm not a businessman or a lawyer. I haven't built wealth. What I built was a family. My wife and I have 9 adopted children. A senior in high school, or excuse me, a 24-year-old that lives in Kentucky, and we have 3 little girl, 3-year-old twins, Maddie and Kinsey. There's been a lot made about my experience in this race, and I can assure you that raising 9 adopted children have given me a vast wealth of experience. My oldest son, Quincy, came to live till he was 14 years old. If you ever want to turn your life upside down, adopt a 14-year-old teenager. He came with us, and he was struggling with addiction. Fortunately, he didn't win that battle all the way. He had to go to prison. He didn't do the right things. We worked really hard to try to keep him from that. But I stand you here today to tell you that he is 24 months sober. He has a job, his own car, his own apartment. So the drug epidemic is personal to me. My twins, they 3 years old. Their mother came to me and my wife and asked if we would take them in. Yes. They were born and had to have morphine in their bodies because of the drugs they were addicted to. It's a personal thing. My experience for this job, I tell you, is meaningful. 2012, the tragedy here at Chardon. I wanted nothing to do with that tragedy. It wasn't until Sandy Hook, 9 months later, that I considered myself to be a coward because I didn't stand up and fight for the victims at Chardon. I wanted my life back. I didn't want 15 minutes of fame. Since Sandy Hook, we formed the Coach Hall Foundation. We got House Bill 318 passed. We had $12 million invested into our schools. I've been from Connecticut to California and everywhere in between, advocating for our children, advocating for our schools, advocating for mental health, advocating for recovery. That's what I'm about. There's not a bill that will cross my desk as far as right to life goes that I won't sign. Every one of my children were considered castaways, throwaways by the Democratic Party. And according to their liberal thinking, they should have been murdered before they were born. And I'll never, ever not support right to life. I believe in the Second Amendment. I'm a member of the NRA. I believe that it's as important right as we have in our country. I believe that it needs to be protected, and I'll do that. The last thing I want to tell you, I want to serve. I received a tweet when me and Senator Eklund about my opponent's support and how the entire Republican caucus was behind her. That kind of struck me strange for a moment, and I went home and I thought about it and I prayed about it, and then I realized that no one in the Republican caucus has a vote in the 76th district. That this is your seat, and you should have a choice and have the ability to go to the ballot box and make that choice. And that's why I'm running, to serve you. Thank you and God bless.
I have a couple questions for you, Frank. You talk about improving school funding and breaking the levy gridlock. What is your plan for this?
Well, what I want to do in Columbus is form a committee to look at every idea that's going on in schools. Since the early 2000s, when President Bush enacted No Child Left Behind, there's been more education legislation passed in this country than ever before. And we're finding out now is that these good ideas, they're starting to work against each other. We're not really doing what's best for our children. Take the third grade literacy test. The third grade literacy test puts so much amount of pressure on a 9-year-old to pass that test in order to go on to the 4th grade. It's truly not what it's meant to do. And now we're finding out that third grade literacy test, because in the 3rd grade, you know what's being taught? Solely reading. So math and sciences, now we're falling behind in the 4th and 5th grade. So those are some of the things that we need to look at. Funding is a huge part of what we need to look at. We don't need to throw more money at schools. We have plenty of money going to schools. What we need to look at is how to better use that money. A county to the east of us has 7 school districts, and 5 of them have graduates 100 kids or less. What we saw here in Geauga County, Ledgemont and Newberry next year, consolidation works. So out of those 7 school districts, every one of those school districts are paying superintendents $150,000 a year in salary and benefits package. So imagine if we take 2 of those, all 7 of those districts, divide them in 2 districts, now we're paying 1 superintendent. We're paying 1 special ed director. We're paying 1 transportation director. So things like that. And I'm not going to be the smartest guy in the room, so we need to get people, business people, mental health people, educators, and find out what works best. And we need to put our egos aside and let people think about things and do what's best for our children.
The state cuts income taxes, which ends up creating less funds for local governments, so they have no choice but to raise property taxes. Is there anything wrong with this scenario?
I believe it's 2008, 2009, the governor and the state legislator cut billions of dollars from local governments. I'm a Reagan guy, and I believe in small government. I believe that the most important government is governing is done at local levels. I was at a township meeting in Burton, and it was one of the most fantastic things I've ever seen. Burton Village and Middlefield Township were working on a road together. And Burton supplied the material, Middlefield supplied the labor and equipment. And both sides were talking about, you know what, we're not going to pay for that because our taxpayers don't need to. And it was something that really inspired me to go back and work hard for the small guy on the town square, the small guy on Main Street. Since 2008, over $2 billion has been taken from local government. Half the counties in the state of Ohio have had to raise taxes. 207 municipalities raised taxes. Now, that's not, I don't know if that's good governing, but I know for sure that it's just passing the buck along. It was the money was taken away to create a rainy day fund. We're about 2.8, or excuse me, about 2.4%, and the cap is 2.5. So after the next percent that goes in, they can't put any more money in there. So what are they going to do with that money? I'm telling you what I would do with the money. I would give it back to the taxpayers and let them lower taxes. That's my idea of what the best thing to do with that money.
And you may have touched on this, but it was written and asked, so I'm going to ask again. Do you feel that February 2012 brought you to being a candidate today? And if so, how?
You know, there's not too many days go by that I don't think about Danny or Demetrius or Russell. That's not why I'm here. I made a commitment a long time ago through the Coach Hall Foundation to not let their names be forgotten. And I work really hard with the Coach Hall Foundation. What I'm here for today is our children, my children. Again, you know, they were castaways and throwaways, and that's what the American dream is not about. I stand here before you as the first college graduate in my family. And they're going to be college graduates, they're going to be doctors and lawyers. They may be welders, they may be plumbers, but they're going to serve their community, and they're going to make you proud someday.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, guys.
For Ohio State Representative in District 99, we have Sarah Fowler. Is Sarah with us to know? Okay, Sarah's not here. We've got a couple seats here for the Court of Appeals judge. Is Sarah with us tonight? Sarah Kovor? Did I say Kovor? I'm sorry. Am I close? Did I say it?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And I'll be also speaking with Matt Lynch to conserve some time, who is also running for the Court of Appeals, if that's okay.
Just speak a little closer to the mic, please. Great.
Okay.
We're going to speak together because they turned off the heat. You all want to go home.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm Matt Lynch. I am currently on the 11th District Court of Appeals. Sarah and I are your Republican candidates for the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals is an extraordinarily important court. It is the court that the Common Pleas Court and the city courts appeal to. If you don't like what the lower court does, you go to the Court of Appeals. If you don't like what we do, you go to the Ohio Supreme Court. But you probably won't. Because of the 350-some cases that we had last year, only 2 were accepted by the Ohio Supreme Court. They have to agree to take your case, and they don't take most of them, over 96%. Never get the Ohio Supreme Court. What does that mean? That means your appellate court judges, in effect, are your Supreme Court, because we're the last word. So it's important to have good, constitutional, conservative judges on that court. I'll just say quickly so you can meet Sarah here. I'll give you these numbers. 192 federal judges have been appointed by President Trump. There are only 870 federal judges. That means almost 25% have been appointed by President Trump. How many Republicans think that's going to make a difference?
Oh, yeah.
That's going to make a big difference. I'll give you another set of numbers. One Republican out of 5 on the 11th District Court of Appeals. That'd be me. I'm going to stay there another 2 years. If you elect me in November, we don't have candidates now, so remember Matt Lynch in November, and now my friend Sarah Kovor.
Good evening, everybody. I apologize for my voice in advance. Thank you, Nancy MacArthur, Chairwoman, and the Geauga County GOP. I reside in Trumbull County. However, Geauga County I consider my second home now because my mother and my relatives retired from New York State to Geauga County by Westchester Trail. So I come here quite often. I really enjoy coming here because it is so beautiful. It reminds me of Rye, New York, Westchester County, where I grew up. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I see some friendly faces here, but most of you do not know me. I am a former Trumbull County felony assistant prosecutor. I have been a defense attorney for 15 years. I've practiced for over 22 years in almost every level of court, from juvenile court to and I'm also admitted to the U.S. Supreme Court. I've had landmark cases in and outside of Ohio, including those that have supported your Second Amendment rights. I have been, like I said, on both sides of the case, both as a prosecutor and as a defense attorney. I also have 2 out of my 3 children who are in law enforcement as federal attorneys. I have done appointed cases to help those people who could not afford their own private attorneys, and I have come before you to ask you to learn a little bit more about me. I have some material here, and to go onto my website and see if I have the qualifications that you would want for your appellate court judge. I have had a lifetime of experience both in pursuing justice as a prosecutor and as defense counsel, as well as defending your civil liberties. I have lived the American dream. I will answer the question that most people come up to me after a session, which is what background are you? They come politely and ask me. I came as a 7-year-old with my parents from India. Like John, my family was in the very southern tip of India, which was communist. It was a multi-party system. My father had studied, he was a physicist. He had studied both in Paris and in Toronto and decided to make America his home for his family because he believed this was the future. And I believe that his dreams did come true because I have now 3 children and 3 grandchildren here. As a naturalized citizen, I feel very important that we show diversity in our party and diversity in the court. and I have spent over 22 years defending our fundamental rights as citizens. I believe in not legislating from the bench, and that the judges should follow the letter of the law and not an interpretation of it. That becomes very dangerous, as you've seen activist judges in the news, and we need a check in the appellate court to control that, because you don't want somebody's view of the world to be making the decision on your dispute. Judges are very important. We came last here. We're often last on the ballot. We will, believe me, if you have a dispute, the appellate courts are usually the last resort. And you will need to know that every person I've ever spoken to, and I've done everything from juvenile to capital cases, wants a fair and impartial person deciding their case. They don't want somebody who's made up their mind before they enter there. They want counsel who are prepared and effective, and they want their day in court, and that's what I would give you. Thank you so much. My name is Sarah Thomas Kabor.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Matt. And look at that, Nancy, good job on the time. I will turn this over to you to close. Candidates, thank you for coming out and sharing time with us today. And all of you who attended, thank you for being here as well. Nancy?
I want to give Jim a great big hand for doing our moderation. Wasn't he great? Thank you. This isn't his first rodeo doing this. If you haven't picked up one of these, please do so on their way out. We would like for you to stay in touch with us. Our website is geaugagop.com. I have many of your emails, but if you would like us to stay in touch with you, make sure that we get that before you leave here tonight. We also have some materials from the Board of Elections, and we have Sue over here, who is our poll worker recruiter. And we are still looking for a few poll workers for this upcoming election and the one in November. So if you are interested in doing that, it's a great way to get involved. You make a little bit of money, you make some new friends, and you get to be part of the process. And it's a great thing to do if you've never tried it before. So go see Sue. We've got voter registration information over here. Tomorrow is the last day that you can update your voter registration or register to vote. You can do it online as well. The Board of Elections will be open till 9 p.m. And then beginning Wednesday is early voting. So you can vote by mail. We have applications over here if you would like to fill one out. You can vote by mail. You can come to the Board of Elections starting Wednesday. It's open from 8 to 5, and you can vote right in person there. If you check the website, there are early voting and extended voting hours. There are some weekends. March 7th is a Saturday, open for that. And then the week before the election, open every night till 7, and that Saturday and Sunday prior to the election. So there's no excuse not to vote, folks. We need you to get out and vote. Primary elections are very, very low turnout. And often, as you can see in our county, it's your only choice for a local elected official. There are no Democrats running for county office here at all. I don't know that that's happened in the recent past, but that's where we're at right now. So get your friends out to vote. Make sure you get out to vote. And I want to thank you all for coming out again. And I know there was something else I wanted to say. This is, yes, indeed. Be safe out there, folks, and thank you for coming out.